Hello and welcome to Sleepsmyth, your peaceful place to unwind, dream, and drift gently into sleep. Before we start our story tonight, let me help you settle in with a simple, calming breath like a gentle lullaby for your body and mind. So, find a cozy spot, maybe snuggle under your blanket, and softly close your eyes. Now, breathing quietly through your nose for 4 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold that breath softly for 7 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And now, slowly exhale through your mouth for 8 seconds, letting all the tension melt away. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's do that again. Nice and easy. Breathe in. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Breathe out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. One last time, just like a soft whisper. Breathe in. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Breathe out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Feel your body getting lighter, your mind quiet, as if you're being tucked gently into a calm, warm bed. Thank you for sharing this moment with Sleepsmyth. Now, relax completely and let the story carry you into a peaceful, restful sleep. Let's begin.
Time moves differently in places long abandoned by their makers. In a sun-bleached ruin, or beneath layers of soil compacted by centuries, there are traces of minds that reached far beyond their era. Pottery, bronze, gold, and the faint residue of tools whisper of discovery, of calculation, of observation encoded into material itself. Here, objects do more than survive. They speak, if one is patient enough to listen. Tonight, we will wander through 3 remarkable relics, each a testament to human ingenuity, each revealing knowledge that seemed impossibly advanced for its age. They are fragments of civilizations that measured, calculated, and experimented, leaving behind tangible traces of wonder, curiosity, and precision. Our first relic is the Baghdad Battery. Unearthed in Mesopotamia, these clay jars containing copper and iron have sparked centuries of debate. Were they primitive galvanic cells, ritual vessels, or tools of lost experiments? Archaeologists have catalogued them meticulously, noting the corrosion, the carefully fitted metals, and the surrounding strata, yet their purpose remains tantalizingly uncertain. Next, we encounter the Antikythera Mechanism. Recovered from a sunken ship off the coast of Greece, this intricate bronze device is a mechanical marvel. Its interlocking gears and precise dials predicted eclipses and tracked planetary motion long before such knowledge was widely recorded. Conservators speak of corrosion layers, encrusted fragments, and X-ray reconstructions, each revealing a sophistication that places Bronze Age understanding decades, even centuries, ahead of its time. Finally, we turn to the Nebra Sky Disc. Buried beneath millennia of Earth in what is now Germany, this bronze disc, inlaid with gold, charts the sun, moon, and stars. Lunar arcs, solstices, and the Pleiades cluster are mapped with precision. Archaeologists call it both a ceremonial artifact and a functional tool, a record of celestial observation preserved for 3,000 years. Here, ritual, practicality, and early astronomy converge in a single luminous object. These three relics share a singular quality: they defy expectation. They are evidence that long before modern instruments, humans observed, measured, and imagined in ways that anticipated centuries of knowledge to come. As we trace their surfaces in thought, following patterns etched in metal and clay, we are drawn into the rhythm of ancient minds. The air seems to shimmer with the passing of countless seasons, the silent turning of gears, and the slow arc of the moon across the sky. Tonight, the past is not distant. It breathes alongside us, in the gleam of gold, the patina of bronze, and the weight of clay in our imagination. Each artifact is a bridge, connecting centuries, connecting curiosity, connecting wonder. And as we step closer to their stories, we are reminded that human ingenuity has always reached for the impossible, leaving behind whispers of knowledge, waiting patiently for eyes willing to see. The Baghdad Battery, vessel of the hidden current. Deep beneath the dust of forgotten empires rests a jar that hums with secrets of power, a relic whose silent heart once dreamed of lightning before humankind could name it. Clay and memory. The morning rose gently over Kujut Rabu, painting the horizon in shades of pale gold and dust. The air shimmered, heavy with heat and the scent of ancient earth. Around the mound, men worked with quiet patience, their tools striking the ground in steady rhythm, each stroke uncovering a past that waited in silence. The site, unremarkable at first glance, lay just outside old Baghdad, a stretch of forgotten soil that had once belonged to the Parthians, whose empire had long since crumbled into legend. Hour by hour, the trench deepened. Layers of soil peeled away like pages in a worn manuscript. Clay fragments surfaced, broken bowls, handles, bits of painted pottery once touched by lives lost to time. Then, as the light shifted, one of the workers stopped. His hand brushed against something smooth, something round that resisted the crumble of the earth around it. Carefully, he cleared the dirt, revealing a small jar, humble in shape, no higher than a hand's span, but strangely complete. Its surface was coarse, baked in uneven fire, yet unbroken after 2 millennia beneath the sand. A plug of dark bitumen sealed its mouth, hardened to stone by centuries. Within, a cylinder of copper rested, and inside that, a rod of iron, each metal corroded but distinct, their arrangement too precise to be chance. The diggers exchanged puzzled glances. They could not name what they had found. To them, it was another curiosity among shards and relics, so they brushed it clean, marked its location, and carried it to the museum in Baghdad, where it sat quietly among hundreds of other artifacts of uncertain purpose. Years later, in that museum's dim archive, the jar's story stirred again. The Austrian archaeologist Wilhelm Koenig examined it closely, measuring its form, sketching its layers. He noticed the strange pairing of copper and iron, the residue that hinted at once liquid acid. And a thought, almost absurd, took shape. Could this be a battery? A vessel for electricity long before electricity had a name? If filled with vinegar or lemon juice, its design could summon a small charge, the faintest pulse of current, a spark that might leap between ages. Koenig's idea spread, controversial yet magnetic. Some claimed it might have been used to plate gold onto silver, a crude tool of electrochemistry hidden in plain sight. Others argued it served no such purpose, that it was ritual, symbolic, perhaps meant to hold sacred scrolls or oils for ceremony. Yet the design defied easy dismissal. Every curve, every layer of clay and metal seemed built with intention, not chance. When modern replicas were made and tested, wires trembled with a whisper of power, no brighter than a heartbeat, but alive all the same. Across continents and centuries, the humble jar had spoken again, carrying within its walls a fragment of knowledge older than reason, older than science. And as the faint current hummed between metal and clay, those who witnessed it felt time itself fold inward, the past drawing a quiet breath as if to remind them that even in the dust of forgotten empires, the desire to understand the unseen has never slept. Hands that shaped the charge. Long before the jar lay buried beneath the sands of Kujut Rabu, it began as a lump of river clay, soft, cool, and alive in the hands of a craftsman whose name has not survived. His workshop might have stood near the banks of the Tigris, where reeds swayed and smoke from the kilns rose like pale banners against the morning. The air would have smelled of wet earth, of ash and oil, of metal being beaten thin upon stone. Around him, other hand-shaped bowls and jars for wine, for grain, for offerings, vessels of daily use, practical and familiar. Yet this one, perhaps, was different. He rolled the clay between his palms, pressed it into form, tracing the curve that would later cradle copper and iron. His tools were simple, wooden paddles, smooth stones, a wire for cutting. But the precision of his craft suggested more than instinct. It spoke of knowledge passed down from other hands, older still. The copper he used might have been hammered from sheets traded along the Silk Road, glinting in the desert sun. The iron, rarer, drawn from or dark as dusk, beaten and shaped until it fit within the cylinder like a spine within a body. When the clay vessel dried, it was fired in a pit lined with straw and charcoal, flames licking at its sides until it hardened into pale ochre strength. The metals cooled nearby, green and red with heat's memory. Then, when the parts came together, clay, copper, iron, something wordless joined them too. Perhaps he believed he was building a charm, or a container for sacred oils, or an instrument for priests who sought favor from the unseen. Whatever his intent, the jar carried both order and mystery, a harmony of purpose that reached beyond its maker's understanding. In the Parthian world, where temples stood beside workshops and gods shared space with merchants, the line between faith and function was thin as a thread of wire. Objects could serve both worlds, one of devotion, one of discovery, and this jar with its secret geometry belonged to both. To craft was to worship, to build was to touch what was divine. The man at the wheel might never have known words like current or charge, yet as he sealed the mouth of the jar with bitumen, dark and gleaming, he may have felt a quiet sense of completion, as though he had trapped something invisible inside. Days turned to years, and the jar left his hands, perhaps carried to a temple, a laboratory, or the home of a scholar priest whose learning was half ritual, half experiment. There it might have sat upon a stone table, among scrolls of herbal recipes, scales, and instruments for mixing powders and oils. If filled with vinegar or citric solution, it could have awakened, a pulse hidden in stillness, a moment where metal spoke to metal through invisible fire. Then time claimed it as it claims all things. The jar fell or was placed gently in the earth, its purpose forgotten, its maker unnamed, its charge lost to dust. Yet the shape he formed with his own two hands remained unbroken, waiting beneath centuries of silence, waiting to be found again, waiting to remind the world that every creation, however small, carries within it the mind that dared to imagine. Alchemy of dust and metal. In the age when kings rode beneath banners of silk and incense burned before the gods, the world was filled with experiment disguised as devotion. The Parthians traded in gold, glass, and rare minerals. Their temples gleamed with copper and bronze that caught the desert light like captured dawn. Somewhere between worship and craft, the art of combining earth and metal became a quiet philosophy, a way of speaking to the unseen through matter and flame. Within this world, the jar now called the Baghdad Battery belonged to a language older than science, the language of transformation. Clay drawn from the river's skin, copper mined from the bones of mountains, iron wrestled from blackened stone. Each element bore its own spirit, its own secret. To place them together was to court change, to call forth balance from opposites. Warm metal against cool earth, bright or within dark clay. It was the meeting of body and breath, tangible and invisible. Across the lands of Mesopotamia, craftsmen already knew how to gild, how to plate, how to color metal with fire and acid. Vinegar, alum, and salt were familiar reagents in 1,000 small miracles, cleaning, brightening, etching. In the temple workshops of Seleucia and Babylon, thin wires of gold were laid over copper and sealed through mysterious processes that blurred the line between ritual and reaction. Perhaps this jar was born of that same curiosity, an experiment to make sacred vessels shine brighter, to preserve offerings in perfection. Yet the shape of it suggested more, a deliberate containment, a harmony of inner and outer layers. If filled with a liquid, the metals would not touch directly. Something unseen would pass between them, subtle and alive. To modern eyes, it was a crude cell, a battery. To ancient minds, perhaps, a vessel of purification, where impure elements met and were made whole through divine reaction. Imagine the moment when liquid first touched the copper walls, a hiss, a faint scent of metal and acid rising like breath. The rod inside trembling ever so slightly as energy stirred beneath the seal of bitumen. No light flared, no thunder cracked the air, yet in that instant, something profound occurred, a bridge between human intent and nature's hidden forces. A charge born not of lightning, but of understanding. Through centuries of experimentation, from Egypt's dyes to Babylon's glazes, humanity had always sought to command change, to make metal bloom, to coax color from stone, to turn the humble into the divine. This jar, simple in form, carried that same longing. It was not a machine of war or spectacle, but of wonder, a quiet attempt to listen to the heartbeat of the world through clay and copper. And when its maker sealed it, perhaps he believed the work complete. Yet the true alchemy was not in what it did, but what it foretold, the dawning of an age when hands and minds would join in pursuit of invisible power. The jar slept, its potential sealed within, a small prophecy waiting for the centuries to catch up. Current of the divine. In the ancient world, there was little difference between prayer and experiment. Between the priest who lit the sacred flame and the artisan who mixed powders that burned blue, both sought the same thing, a sign from forces beyond their sight. The Parthians lived within this quiet blend of wonder and worship, where every material had a soul, and every spark or shimmer in metal might be the breath of a god. The jar that would later rest beneath the sands may once have stood upon a stone altar, beside bowls of incense and lamps filled with fragrant oils. In the dim glow, copper caught the flicker of firelight, the iron within gleaming faintly like a hidden star. The vessel's purpose may have been sacred long before it was scientific. For in temples of Mesopotamia, the act of mixing, heating, and transforming was not merely craft, it was communion. The gods of that land had always been tied to creation itself. Enki, lord of waters and wisdom, who shaped order from chaos. Nusku, bringer of light through flame. And Shamash, whose golden rays revealed all truth. To pour liquid into such a vessel might have been an offering, a ritual gesture to awaken purity within matter. The faint reaction between metal and acid could create warmth, perhaps a subtle tingle on the fingertips. Imagine a priest watching, unsure why the vessel seemed to come alive, why iron darkened and copper brightened, only that something unseen had stirred at their command. For them, this was no experiment, it was invocation. A moment when human hands could call forth energy, not in thunder or fire, but in silence. In later centuries, scholars would argue whether the jar was meant for plating metals, storing scrolls, or serving as a simple container. Yet those debates missed the truth that mattered most, that it was built in a world where knowledge and reverence were one. To study the workings of nature was to study the divine, and to harness invisible power was to brush against the boundaries of creation itself. Such vessels may have been part of a forgotten ritual, a sequence of sacred operations lost to time, where metals symbolized elements of the cosmos: copper, the body of Venus; iron, the blood of Mars; bitumen, the breath of the earth sealing them in unity. Their reaction, faint and unseen, could have been read as the meeting of worlds, heaven touching earth through a vessel of human making. Perhaps that is why the jar was shaped so carefully, its form both humble and symmetrical, its mouth sealed as though to guard a secret too potent for careless use. It was not built in haste, nor for mere function. It was built to endure. And when it was finally laid to rest, whether buried in ceremony or forgotten by time, it carried within it not only the craft of its maker, but the echo of a prayer, a hope that something beyond understanding might one day awaken again. Experiment of the Forgotten Age. When the jar surfaced from the soil of Kujut Rabu, it lay still for years, silent among shelves of forgotten relics. The world outside the museum had changed beyond the wildest dreams of its makers. Electricity coursed through cities, light bulbs glowed where torches once burned, and yet this humble vessel waited, unknown, in the quiet gloom of the Baghdad Museum. It was in the early years of the 20th century when new eyes finally lingered upon it. Wilhelm Koenig, an Austrian archaeologist serving as museum director, examined the strange artifact, a clay jar sealed with bitumen, containing a copper cylinder and an iron rod. To most, it looked unremarkable, a curiosity among shards of pottery and broken idols. But Koenig saw design where others saw chance. He took measurements, noted corrosion patterns, and imagined, for the first time in centuries, what might happen if liquid once filled the space between metal and clay. He proposed a daring idea, that this was a device capable of producing electric current. A thought so extraordinary it seemed to stretch time itself, connecting the Parthian age to the modern laboratory. His suggestions stirred fascination and disbelief alike. Could ancient hands have truly harnessed such force, centuries before the word electricity was ever spoken? To test the theory, replicas were made. Craftsmen shaped new jars from river clay, inserted copper and iron as the originals had done, and filled them with vinegar or grape juice. When wires touched the metals, a faint spark leapt between them, small, almost imperceptible, yet real. Instruments recorded a low voltage, barely enough to tingle against the skin, but enough to prove the design could work. In that moment, something remarkable occurred. The dust of millennia seemed to hum with life again. Scholars leaned closer, watching the tiny needles of voltmeters tremble, their hearts echoing the same fragile pulse. Across that thin line of copper and acid, they had reawakened the intention of an ancient mind, whether by accident, ritual, or hidden knowledge. Not all agreed, of course. Some argued that the jars were used for holding papyrus scrolls, sacred oils, or metal rods meant for ritual. Others claimed that even if the design could generate current, there was no evidence the ancients had ever used it that way. Yet still the question lingered, glowing softly at the edge of understanding. Could knowledge be born before its time, forgotten because the world had no language for it? Each experiment deepened the mystery rather than solved it. The replicas worked, but their purpose remained elusive. The jar's silence seemed almost deliberate, as though it refused to yield its truth entirely. And so, in laboratories and classrooms, in documentaries and whispered debates, it continues to be tested, a riddle of clay and copper that reminds us how close invention and faith once stood, hand in hand. Somewhere between myth and measurement, the jar still hums, not with lightning, but with the enduring wonder of discovery itself. Theories beneath the sand. No discovery survives the centuries without argument, and the jar from Kujut Rabu proved no exception. Once Koenig's theory of an ancient battery found the light of publication, the world stirred with equal parts wonder and doubt. Some hailed it as evidence of forgotten genius, proof that knowledge flickers long before its age. Others dismissed it as romantic speculation, the kind of story scholars tell when faced with silence too deep to bear. In universities and museums, debates spread like wildfire. Could the Parthians, traders and artisans though they were, have truly known electricity? There were no written records, no depictions of wires, no tools that might suggest such use. And yet, the evidence of craft could not be ignored. The copper tube, the iron rod, the bitumen seal, the acid traces left like faint fingerprints of reaction. The jar was not random. It had been built. But to what end? Some proposed it was used for electroplating, coating metal objects in gold or silver to adorn idols or jewelry. Small workshops across the ancient Near East were known to experiment with acids and metals, their results shimmering with strange precision. Others suggested it was a ritual device, the spark of divinity contained within an object of devotion, a symbol of the meeting between heaven and earth, crafted by priests who knew that transformation was the language of gods. There were those who argued for simpler explanations, a storage vessel for scrolls, or a holder for sacred scrolls sealed in bitumen to preserve them from moisture. Each idea had merit, and yet each fell short, caught between evidence and imagination. Like grains of sand slipping through the fingers of history, truth seemed to vanish the tighter one tried to grasp it. Excavations across a rock revealed more jars, dozens, perhaps hundreds, some identical, others slightly varied in size and design. They appeared not in temples but in ordinary ruins, near workshops, beneath courtyards. Were they all batteries? Or had a single example been misunderstood, its form misread by modern eyes hungry for mystery? The desert gave no answer. It merely watched as generations of scholars bent over the same questions, each leaving their mark in ink instead of dust. In laboratories from London to Tokyo, experiments continued, replicas, tests, measurements. Every spark rekindled the same quiet awe. The jar refused to belong wholly to science or faith, to logic or legend. It balanced at the edge of both, a riddle written in clay and sealed in tar. Some say its power lies not in what it once did, but in what it suggests, that our ancestors, in their search for meaning, brushed unknowingly against truths we now take for granted. That the hunger to understand, to harness, to create, is as old as the human story itself. And so the theories remain, countless unconfirmed, half buried beneath the sands of time, waiting for a day when one mind, perhaps centuries from now, will finally open the jar again and see not mystery but memory. Dreams of power unclaimed. There are moments in history when the future arrives too early, when an idea flickers to life in the wrong century, too strange for the world to understand. The jar from Kujut Rabu seems to belong to that lineage, an invention waiting for language, a discovery born before its time. If it truly was a vessel of power, its makers never saw the lightning it promised. No lamps were lit, no cities glowed from its charge. It slept in silence, its purpose unknown even to those who shaped it. And yet, perhaps that is what makes it so haunting, the thought that a spark once stirred in that clay, not to illuminate, but simply to exist, a dream of potential unclaimed. Across the ages, humankind has built such objects, artifacts that hint at knowledge beyond their age. The gears of Antikythera turning through the cosmos, the sky discs of bronze marking the dance of stars. The Baghdad Battery stands among them, its meaning blurred but its intention unmistakable, a yearning toward the unseen. To stand before it now, behind glass and reflection, is to feel that yearning still alive. The jar sits quiet, unadorned, its colors dulled by time. Ochre clay, greenish copper, iron dark as night. Yet within its simplicity lies a whisper of genius, the same impulse that drives the human hand to create before it comprehends. In that sense, it is less a machine than a mirror, showing us what it means to reach, to build, to wonder. It reminds us that discovery does not always bloom where it is planted. Sometimes knowledge must sleep through centuries, waiting for another mind to recognize its shape. Perhaps the craftsman who made it never thought of lightning at all. Perhaps he worked in service to faith, or ritual, or pure habit. Yet what emerged from his hands carried a hidden future. When Koenig's replicas hummed to life thousands of years later, that future briefly awoke, fragile and bright, like an ember found beneath ash. Such is the nature of progress. It does not march in straight lines, but spirals through memory and rediscovery. Every lost idea waits to be reborn. Every forgotten experiment holds within it the promise of recognition. The jar endures as proof that invention can exist without witness, that brilliance does not require understanding to be real. Its charge may have faded long ago, but the current it represents still flows, not through copper and iron, but through imagination itself. For every age carries its own Baghdad Battery, each a reminder that the dream of power, of grasping the forces hidden in the world, is eternal. The eternal circuit. Time is not a straight path. It folds, it circles, it hums softly beneath our feet like a hidden current. What was once buried becomes revelation. What was forgotten finds new breath in another age. The jar from Kujut Rabu has crossed that circle more than once. From the hands of a Parthian craftsman to the silence of the earth, from the shadows of a museum shelf to the bright gaze of scientists who would test its secret spark. Now it rests behind glass, unassuming, almost humble. Visitors pass by, pausing only for a moment before moving on to brighter wonders. Crowns, statues, jeweled relics that boast their purpose proudly. Yet the battery remains, small and undecorated, holding within it a power far quieter than voltage, the power of endurance. For it has outlasted empires, languages, and even certainty itself. When modern minds wire replicas and measure their faint hum, they are not merely testing a theory, they are continuing an unbroken gesture. One hand long turned to dust reaching toward another across centuries. The circuit is not of copper or acid alone, but of curiosity, imagination, and persistence. Every time its story is retold, the loop closes again, and the spark, however faint, leaps once more through time. It reminds us that knowledge, once born, never truly dies. It may lie dormant, waiting for tools or understanding, but its essence endures. The Baghdad Battery is not only a relic of clay and metal, it is an idea made tangible, a reminder that even in the earliest ages, the human heart beat in rhythm with discovery. Some say it was ritual, others call it coincidence. Perhaps it was both. Perhaps the divine and the scientific have always been two names for the same longing, to touch what lies beyond sight, to capture a fragment of the universe within one's own hands. The jar did not conquer nature, it simply listened to it, quietly, patiently, centuries ahead of its time. And as the museum lights dim each evening, the vessel glows softly beneath its glass, its shadow long and golden in the lamplight. Clay, copper, iron, three simple elements bound forever in dialogue. It asks no questions now, offers no proof, only presence. Only the silent reminder that every discovery begins as faith, every faith as curiosity. The circuit remains unbroken, flowing not through metal, but through minds that wonder still. From ancient potter to modern scientist, from past to future, it hums on, an endless current connecting all who have ever dared to seek the spark hidden in the dark. The Antikythera Mechanism, clockwork of the cosmos. Forged in bronze and genius, it captured the movements of sun and moon, a silent clock of the cosmos, lost for 2,000 years beneath the Aegean blue. The sea that kept time. Beneath the glimmering surface of the Aegean, where sunlight thins into a quiet green and the world feels suspended, the sea holds its secrets patiently. Among stones, broken timbers, and the scattered remnants of a merchant ship, a small bronze device slept for centuries, hidden from eyes that could never yet read its purpose. The vessel had sailed sometime in the 1st century before our calendar would record it, carrying treasures from a Hellenistic world, marble statues, glassware, bronze figurines, and objects of daily life, all destined for the villas and markets of Rome. But the sea, indifferent and merciless, claimed it. A storm rose swiftly, tearing sails and masts, tossing cargo like driftwood, and swallowing sailors and riches alike. When the waters calmed, the ship lay shattered on the seabed, a museum of quiet ruin beneath the waves. Among the wreckage rested something unassuming, a small lump of bronze encrusted with limestone, its surface battered and greened by centuries underwater. To the sea, it was indistinguishable from countless fragments of human ambition. Yet inside this corroded mass lay a hidden world of thought, geometry, and foresight, a mechanism designed to measure the heavens, track the movements of sun and moon, and predict celestial events with astonishing precision. In 1900, sponge divers from Antikythera stumbled upon the wreck, unaware that they had found a key to a lost chapter of human ingenuity. They surfaced with marble limbs and bronze figures, treasures long forgotten, but among them was this unremarkable device, passed over at first as a corroded curiosity. It was carried to the National Archaeological Museum in Athens, catalogued, and left in drawers while decades passed, silently waiting for the technology and insight to understand it. The first hints of its extraordinary design emerged as scholars began examining its fragments. The corroded bronze revealed edges of gears, tiny teeth carefully carved with mathematics beyond anything else known from its time. X-rays and imaging would later reveal dozens of interlocking wheels, inscriptions and dials, an analog cosmos in miniature, able to trace eclipses, lunar cycles, and even the schedule of athletic games. For 2 millennia, the mechanism lay dormant, preserved by the sea's quiet patience. It was a bridge between past and present, a testament to a civilization that had grasped the rhythm of the cosmos and translated it into human hands. Time had passed over it, empires had risen and fallen, yet this creation endured, waiting for the moment when the world could once again see the universe in bronze and motion, and understand that even long ago, humanity had reached for the heavens. Eyes that measured the sky. Long before its gears slumbered beneath the Aegean waves, the Antikythera Mechanism was conceived in the quiet light of a Greek workshop. There, amid the scent of olive oil lamps, molten bronze, and dusted stone, unseen hands worked with patient care, shaping not just metal, but the vision of the heavens themselves. Greece of that age was a land alive with thinkers, artisans, and scholars, minds who measured the stars, mapped the orbits of planets, and calculated the rhythms of the moon. Astronomy was a discipline of wonder and rigor, blending observation, mathematics, and philosophy. The sun, the moon, and the wandering planets were not distant mysteries, but partners in an intricate dance, patterns to be traced, understood, and predicted. In some city, perhaps Rhodes or Pergamon, a craftsman began his careful work. Sheets of bronze were cut and filed by hand, each gear meticulously aligned. Tiny inscriptions marked months, zodiac signs, and cycles of eclipses, engraved so delicately that the letters seemed almost to float on the surface. Each gear, each wheel was the embodiment of thought, an extension of the human mind reaching toward the cosmos. He was no mere artisan. He was part mathematician, part astronomer, part philosopher, someone who saw in metal a language for the stars. As he assembled the mechanism, he translated calculations into turning wheels, lunar anomalies into bronze teeth, solar paths into concentric circles. With each turn of the handle, the device mirrored the heavens above, a miniature universe alive with silent motion. This creation did not cry for attention. Its beauty was subtle, revealed only in the turning of its gears and the alignment of its dials. On one face, the moon waxed and waned, a tiny silver and black sphere tracing its phases. On another, the sun moved slowly among zodiac signs, passing through constellations with perfect precision. Additional wheels foretold eclipses, marking events centuries in advance, linking observation with prediction. The craftsman knew few, if any, would witness its full potential. Yet he labored not for fame, but to capture the invisible rhythm of the cosmos, to translate its pattern into the certainty of bronze and motion. Perhaps he built it for sailors navigating by the moon, or scholars charting time, or a patron who wished to hold the universe in his hands. Regardless, the machine became a bridge between human curiosity and the infinite. Though the centuries would erase his name and nearly all memory of his work, the hands that measured the sky left a mark that endured. Even now, as we examine the gears, we feel the precision and wonder of a mind unafraid to grasp the heavens, and to let us glimpse, however briefly, the mechanics of the cosmos made tangible. Gears of the heavens. Within the bronze fragments lies a universe captured in miniature. The Antikythera Mechanism was more than a machine. It was a map of the cosmos, translated into turning wheels and interlocking gears. Each tooth, each carefully aligned wheel, was a reflection of the heavens, a human attempt to grasp the rhythm of planets, sun, and moon. 30 bronze gears formed the core of the mechanism. The front dials mapped the sun's progress through the zodiac and traced the moon's phases, a tiny silver and black sphere spinning on its axis. The moon's uneven orbit was accounted for with subtle corrections in the gearwork, a mathematical insight mirroring the work of Hipparchus, who had observed the slight discrepancies of lunar motion. Each rotation was a measure of harmony, precision, and cosmic rhythm. The back of the device contained spiraling dials showing larger cycles, the Metonic cycle, 19 years of sun and moon reunion, and the Saros cycle, forecasting eclipses. Inscribed Greek letters marked months, celestial events, and athletic games aligned with lunar phases. The entire machine was a carefully calibrated analog computer, a precise model of celestial movement in bronze. Turning the hand crank would bring all these parts to life. Wheels meshed perfectly, translating motion from one to another, showing events long before they occurred. Each rotation was a demonstration of the universe as the ancients understood it, predictable, patterned, ordered. It was an interface between thought and reality, a machine that let human hands touch time itself. The craftsmanship is staggering. Bronze was hand-cut, teeth filed by eye, gears aligned with incredible foresight. No modern tool guided its maker, only patience, skill, and knowledge of the cosmos. The device functioned not only as a calendar or prediction tool, but as a testament to the intellectual ambition of its age, an expression of the human desire to understand the heavens. The mechanism challenges our understanding of history. How could a civilization so long ago create something of such complexity, only for that knowledge to vanish almost entirely? Its gears remain silent now, but through reconstruction and imaging, we can trace the motions of its lost genius. The Antikythera Mechanism is not merely a relic, it is a message across millennia, proof that humans have always sought to turn the cosmos into something tangible, measurable, and beautiful. When the bronze spoke. For centuries, the mechanism lay buried beneath sand, coral, and the unrelenting weight of the sea. Its bronze wheels, tiny teeth, and engraved dials remained silent, invisible to the world above. To divers from Antikythera in the early 1900s, it appeared as little more than a lump of greened metal among broken amphorae and shattered statues, unremarkable, fragile, forgotten. But beneath the corrosion, the heart of the cosmos waited patiently. The artifact was transported to the National Archaeological Museum in Athens, catalogued, and set aside, as decades passed before anyone could glimpse its hidden purpose. It was not until advances in imaging and X-ray technology that the bronze began to speak. The first radiographs revealed a staggering pattern of interlocking gears, some hidden beneath layers of encrusted corrosion. Scholars who examined the images could scarcely believe what they saw: dozens of finely cut bronze wheels, each designed to turn another, all aligned with astonishing precision. The mechanism's function slowly emerged, a miniature universe in motion, predicting eclipses, lunar phases, and even the timing of athletic games across the centuries. As the layers of bronze were virtually peeled away by X-rays and later CT scans, a picture of genius unfolded. The device was not a decorative trinket, it was a tool of knowledge, the earliest known analog computer. On its front face, wheels mirrored the movements of the sun and moon. On the back, spiraling dials mapped cycles of time spanning decades. Its inscriptions recorded months, zodiac signs, and celestial events, all carved with delicate accuracy. The machine astonished modern observers. Its precision suggested knowledge and skill long thought impossible in the ancient world. For a civilization that lacked telescopes, lenses, or precision machinery, the ability to build such a device was extraordinary. The Antikythera Mechanism revealed a level of mathematical and astronomical understanding that challenged centuries of assumptions about human innovation. Through this rediscovery, the bronze spoke across time. Its gears, once silent beneath the waves, now turned in the minds of scholars and engineers, who reconstructed its movements and functions. The machine became a bridge between antiquity and modernity, a reminder that curiosity, patience, and intellect can transcend centuries. And for the first time in nearly 2,000 years, the universe it modeled was visible once again, turning gently in bronze and motion. The lost art of knowing. Once the Antikythera Mechanism rested in its maker's hands, it performed its quiet miracles, measuring time and predicting celestial rhythms. Yet, over centuries, the knowledge that gave birth to such ingenuity began to fade. Cities fell, libraries burned, and scholars moved or disappeared, carrying fragments of understanding that would scatter into silence. The art of complex gearing, once mastered and meticulously practiced, was almost entirely forgotten. Though mechanics and astronomy persisted separately in Greece, Rome, and later civilizations, no one recreated a device of such intricate precision for over 1,000 years. Bronze wheels that tracked the heavens, teeth cut with careful mathematics, inscriptions that mirrored the rhythm of stars, all vanished from memory. In the medieval world, instruments of measurement existed, but none matched the Antikythera Mechanism's ambition. Astrolabes, water clocks, and armillary spheres would appear centuries later, echoing its principles in simpler forms. The device became a ghost of innovation, a lost bridge between observation and prediction, reminding future generations that ingenuity can be as fragile as it is brilliant. Its disappearance raises a question that haunts historians. How could such knowledge be created and then vanish so completely? Perhaps the specialized skills required were rare, dependent on workshops that no longer existed. Perhaps the socio-political upheavals of the ancient world, wars, invasions, shifting powers, scattered those who understood its secrets. Whatever the cause, the mechanism became an orphan of history, a solitary witness to human curiosity. For centuries, it lay hidden beneath the waves or in museum drawers, silent and unremarked. The wheels remained, but their rhythm was lost. The calculations existed, but the context had disappeared. Scholars could only imagine what it had been, reconstructing fragments and debating its purpose. The device became a symbol, a reminder that invention without continuity can vanish, leaving only questions and fragments for those who come after. Yet even in its absence, the Antikythera Mechanism continued to inspire. Its story, rediscovered in the 20th century, would eventually illuminate the sophistication of ancient science, proving that humanity once reached far beyond what was believed possible. The lost art of knowing had survived, not in workshops or treatises, but in bronze and the quiet patience of the sea. Scholars of the sunken mind. Decades after its recovery, the Antikythera Mechanism rested quietly in drawers, corroded, fragile, its secret still locked within bronze and limestone. It was a puzzle that refused to yield its meaning easily. Scholars peered at its broken fragments, puzzled by what could only be described as impossibly intricate gearing. For years, it seemed as though the past had laughed quietly at their curiosity. It was not until the mid-20th century that the first breakthroughs came. Derek J. de Sola Price, a physicist and historian of science, began studying the device in detail, using X-rays to peer beneath its encrusted surfaces. With each image, the hidden architecture of the mechanism began to emerge. Interlocking gears, spiraling dials, inscriptions too small and precise to be accidental. The bronze revealed a cosmos trapped in miniature, waiting patiently for eyes that could understand. Other researchers joined the effort, painstakingly reconstructing its functions from fragments. Tony Freeth and Alexander Jones, using advanced imaging and computer modeling decades later, confirmed the mechanism's sophistication. It could predict eclipses, trace lunar cycles, and chart planetary positions with precision that seemed almost impossible for a civilization long before the Renaissance. Each turn of the virtual crank brought the cosmos alive again, as if the ancient hands had never left. Yet the process was not simple. The fragments were incomplete, teeth were worn, and inscriptions had eroded. Scholars debated the sequence of gears, their purpose, and their arrangement. Like detectives of time, they pieced together clues from mathematics, astronomy, and archaeology. Slowly, patience and intellect coaxed the ancient knowledge from its rusted cage. The work revealed not only the function of the mechanism, but the brilliance of the minds that created it. The Antikythera Mechanism was more than a tool. It was a bridge to a lost era, proof that ancient scientists had measured the heavens in ways previously thought impossible. Each reconstruction, each calculation, was an echo of a mind that had flourished 2,000 years before. By the 21st century, scholars could watch the device move again, digitally and mechanically, witnessing the rotations of the moon, sun, and planets, and tracing cycles of eclipses with eerie precision. The mechanism spoke through mathematics, bronze, and imagination, revealing a universe once modeled by human hands. It was a dialogue across millennia, a testament to curiosity, ingenuity, and the resilience of knowledge that refuses to remain buried forever. The mind before its age. The Antikythera Mechanism is more than a machine. It is a window into a mind that glimpsed truth centuries before the world could understand them. Its gears, dials, and inscriptions speak not only of astronomy, but of an intellect that grasped order in a universe that most still perceived as mystery and myth. Imagine a scholar in ancient Greece, surrounded by the warm glow of oil lamps, leaning over a workbench crowded with bronze, wood, and tools worn smooth by practice. He would have traced the motions of the moon, the sun, and the wandering planets, calculating cycles of eclipses and predicting the rhythm of games and festivals. Every gear cut and aligned was a statement of comprehension, a miniature universe born from observation, mathematics, and intuition. This genius operated in a world that had no telescopes, no precise measuring instruments, and no centuries of cumulative mechanical knowledge. Yet within the Antikythera Mechanism, we see accuracy and foresight that would not be matched again until the European Renaissance. The device anticipates modern understandings of lunar anomalies, solar cycles, and planetary motion, encoded in bronze centuries before humans had tools capable of duplicating it. The mechanism is also a reflection of the philosophical mindset of its age. Greek thinkers did not separate science, mathematics, and metaphysics. Understanding the cosmos was a pursuit that intertwined observation with wonder. The machine embodies this synthesis, a physical manifestation of ideas that sought to explain, to predict, and to honor the harmony of the universe. Its creators left no name, no record of instruction, yet their work endured in secret beneath the sea for millennia. In a way, the mechanism exists as a silent testament to the daring of minds unafraid to reach beyond their era, to create not for immediate need, but for understanding itself. It reminds us that genius does not wait for recognition, that insight can exist far ahead of its time. Even today, as we reconstruct its movements, we are humbled. The hands that conceived and built this machine were thinking on a scale and with a precision that stretches imagination. The Antikythera Mechanism is proof that the ancient world was capable of extraordinary ingenuity, glimpsing truths that the centuries would struggle to rediscover. It is the echo of brilliance, resonating across millennia. The endless orbit. The Antikythera Mechanism now rests in a museum, its bronze carefully preserved, its gears reconstructed, its secrets gradually revealed to the world. Yet even in stillness it seems alive, a silent pulse of intelligence bridging 2,000 years, a reminder that curiosity and creation move in circles, endlessly returning through time. Its story begins beneath the Aegean waves, passes through the hands of unknown artisans, and survives centuries of loss and oblivion. Every turn of its gears represents a conversation across millennia, connecting the ancient mind to the modern, the observer to the observed, the fleeting present to the eternal patterns of the cosmos. Though no one can name its maker, the mechanism carries their vision forward, a blueprint of genius embedded in bronze. The Antikythera Mechanism reshaped how we see the past. It tells us that history is not a simple march of progress, but a complex orbit of ideas, sometimes lost, sometimes rediscovered, always waiting for those who look closely enough to perceive it. Civilization has built, forgotten, and rebuilt countless times. Yet within this small device, the sophistication of the ancient world survives intact, challenging assumptions about the limits of human invention. Its legacy is not merely technical, but philosophical. The machine demonstrates that understanding can precede technology, that vision can outpace the tools available to realize it. It is a reminder that insight does not belong to an era, that genius can bloom far ahead of its age and leave echoes that the world will hear only centuries later. We see in the Antikythera Mechanism a convergence of art, science, and observation, a meditation on the heavens and our place among them. It is a clock of the cosmos, yes, but also a mirror of human ambition and imagination. In every gear, in every wheel, we sense the rhythm of the universe itself, repeating endlessly, inexorably, yet always accessible to minds willing to look and learn. Even now, as scholars rotate its gears in digital reconstruction, as visitors marvel at its beauty, the mechanism continues its orbit, through history, through human curiosity, through the imagination. It is a reminder that discovery is never truly lost, that knowledge can sleep for centuries and awaken to inspire anew, and that the dance of understanding, like the stars themselves, moves in eternal circles, endlessly returning to those who dare to measure the sky. The Nebra Sky Disc, First Star Map, an artifact of bronze and gold, capturing the rhythm of lunar cycles and the turning of the heavens, a tangible glimpse of human wonder at the cosmos. Burial of the Bronze Circle. Long before anyone would understand its meaning, the Nebra Sky Disc lay hidden beneath layers of earth, silence, and time itself. In the hills of what is now Saxony-Anhalt, Germany, gentle slopes and scattered forests held secrets of a civilization that had begun to watch the heavens with careful attention. Sunlight would filter through the trees, glinting on soil and rock, yet beneath that soil rested a disk that held the cosmos in miniature. This small circle of bronze, only slightly larger than a modern dinner plate, carried a map of the sky. Golden symbols marked the sun, the full moon, and the cluster of stars known today as the Pleiades. Tiny arcs traced lunar phases, lines hinted at solstices, a tangible record of celestial cycles meticulously observed by Bronze Age skywatchers over generations. Each mark was a statement of knowledge, a translation of the heavens into metal. Its creation dates to roughly 1600 years before the Common Era, a time when human communities depended on seasonal patterns for planting, harvesting, and survival. But the disk was more than practical, it was sacred. The cosmos was both guide and deity, and marking its rhythms in gold and bronze transformed observation into reverence. To place a disk in the ground was to honor not just the cycles of the sun and moon, but the human desire to understand them. How it came to rest beneath the soil is a mystery. Perhaps it was buried intentionally, a ritual offering to the gods of sky and earth. Perhaps it was hidden to protect its knowledge from rivals or forgotten as generations passed. Regardless, the disk lay in silence for over 3,000 years, wrapped in the patience of Earth, its story waiting for discovery. In 1999, farmers working near the town of Nebra unearthed fragments of the disk while plowing their fields. Archaeologists quickly realized the significance of what they held: a map of prehistoric skies, a record of Bronze Age astronomy preserved against the odds. Bronze and gold had become a message from the past, patiently waiting to speak to the present. Its burial reminds us that human ingenuity often leaves traces hidden beneath time, surviving in silence until curiosity and discovery bring it to light. The disk carried not just a design, but centuries of careful observation, human wonder, and reverence for the heavens. Beneath the soil, it slept for millennia, a quiet testament to the rhythm of the sky and the minds that first sought to measure it. Observers of the heavens. Long before the Nebra Sky Disc was buried beneath soil and time, it was conceived by minds that never saw the device in its final form, yet understood the rhythm of the cosmos with remarkable clarity. Bronze Age observers lifted their eyes to the horizon, watching the sun rise and set, tracing the arc of the moon through the sky, and noting the slow, predictable wanderings of the stars. They measured time not in hours and minutes, but in shadows, lunar phases, and the turning of seasons. These early astronomers were patient and meticulous. They tracked the Pleiades as it appeared at dawn, signaling the arrival of planting season. They observed solstices, noting the longest and shortest days, understanding that the sun's path was more than light and warmth. It was a marker of survival, ritual, and the sacred order of the world. Every observation became a calculation, a translation of natural phenomena into a mental map of the heavens. It was this knowledge that the sky disk would later embody. The placement of gold symbols, the arcs marking lunar phases, and the tiny cluster representing the Pleiades were not decorative. They were the careful result of generations of observation, tested and refined over decades. The disk was a repository of wisdom, a way to hold the movement of the sky in human hands, to capture the invisible pattern of light and time. These observers lived in communities where the sky dictated rhythm and reason. Festivals and ceremonies were timed according to lunar cycles. Crops were sown and harvested according to the sun. By watching the heavens, these astronomers translated celestial motion into human understanding, a knowledge both practical and mystical. Their work required patience, attention, and imagination, an early form of science entwined with ritual. The sky disk stands as a testament to their skill. Though centuries would bury their creation and obscure their names, the disk preserves the vision of people who sought to measure the heavens, to chart time, and to create a tangible connection between earth and sky. Every line, every symbol, is a reflection of their observations, a bridge between the human mind and the infinite expanse above. Through this artifact, we glimpse the world they inhabited, a world of observation, reverence, and wonder. Their eyes scanned the heavens, and their minds translated movement into meaning. In the Nebra Sky Disc, that vision endures, a reminder that even long ago, humanity reached toward the stars, seeking to understand patterns, cycles, and the order of the universe. Gold inlay. The Nebra Sky Disc is not just a map of the heavens. It is a masterpiece of craftsmanship where observation and artistry converge in bronze and gold. Each golden symbol, the sun, the full moon, the Pleiades cluster, was carefully inlaid, a delicate act requiring precision, patience, and reverence. The metal gleamed faintly even under dim torchlight, catching eyes and imagination alike, drawing attention to patterns that measured time and connected humans to the cosmos. Bronze shaped the canvas, yet gold gave it voice. To create these symbols, artisans would have hammered thin sheets of gold, cutting and pressing them into carefully engraved slots on the disc's surface. Every curve and circle was intentional. The Pleiades cluster, for example, is not merely decoration. It represents a fixed point in the night sky that helped ancient observers track seasonal changes and organize agricultural and ritual calendars. The placement of these celestial bodies required extraordinary knowledge. Observers had to understand the moon's phases, the sun's solstices, and the relative positions of stars. This information was then transformed into a design that was both functional and ceremonial. Gold became more than ornamentation. It was a medium of memory and calculation, a way to preserve understanding across generations. The contrast of gold against bronze created not only visual clarity, but a symbolic resonance. Bronze, common and enduring, represented the earth, the human hand, the material world. Gold, rare and luminous, represented the heavens, the divine, the eternal patterns that governed life. Inlaying the two metals together mirrored the union of observation and interpretation, of earthly practice and cosmic wonder. This artistry also hints at ritual. The disc may have been used in ceremonies marking solstices or lunar phases, reinforcing social cohesion and spiritual practice. Every glimmer of gold carried meaning, a signal to a community that the seasons had turned, that the cosmos had moved in its appointed rhythm, and that humans were not separate from the sky, but participants in its cycles. Through this labor, Bronze Age astronomers transformed raw materials into a tool, a calendar, and a work of beauty. The Nebra Sky Disc is proof that ancient science was not separate from art, that measurement and reverence were intertwined. In each golden inlay, we see the human desire to hold the heavens close, to make sense of time, and to leave a record that could survive millennia. Even now, when we look at the disc in museum light, the gold shines with the same quiet brilliance intended by its creators. It speaks of patience, knowledge, and the ability of humans to capture the vastness of the sky in something small enough to hold, a timeless bridge between observation and imagination. Cycles of moon and sun. The Nebra Sky Disc was more than a map. It was a calendar, a tool to track the cycles that governed life itself. Long before mechanical clocks or written almanacs, Bronze Age societies relied on the sun and moon to guide their days, months, and seasons. The disc's markings allowed observers to follow lunar phases, anticipate solstices, and measure the passage of years with astonishing accuracy. Two golden arcs along the edges of the disc mark the solstices, the longest and shortest days of the year, offering a guide to agricultural cycles. Farmers could know when to plant or harvest, while ritual leaders could schedule ceremonies to align with the changing light. In an era when survival depended on understanding seasonal patterns, these observations were a bridge between human activity and the immutable rhythm of nature. The Pleiades cluster, carefully depicted in gold, served as a celestial marker for timing festivals and events. Its rising and setting marked critical points in the year, signaling transitions in the cycle of the seasons. Each observer would have tracked these movements over years, perhaps decades, memorizing their subtle shifts and encoding them into the disk. The result was a portable guide to the cosmos, a convergence of art, astronomy, and practical necessity. Lunar cycles were equally essential. Bronze Age societies watched the phases of the moon to determine months, coordinate rituals, and even organize social life. The arcs on the disk reflect careful observation of lunar behavior, providing a tangible method to reconcile the lunar month with the solar year. This knowledge allowed early humans to navigate time itself, linking everyday life to celestial patterns that repeated with predictability. Beyond practical use, the cycles had symbolic significance. Solstices and lunar phases were often tied to spiritual or ceremonial events. The sun's journey and the moon's waxing and waning were reflections of life and death, growth and decay, a reminder that humans were part of a larger, ordered universe. By charting these patterns on the disk, early astronomers could communicate this understanding to their communities, bridging observation with ritual and science with spirituality. The Nebra Sky Disc, therefore, embodies both function and meaning. It is a record of time and motion, a tool to organize life and an object of reverence. Each golden mark and carefully measured arc connects the practical with the sacred, offering insight into how Bronze Age peoples experienced the cosmos. It is a map of cycles that shape survival, culture, and imagination alike, a testament to the human desire to understand the passage of days, months, and years. Even today, the cycles remain legible, silent yet instructive. We can trace the rhythms that once guided Bronze Age lives, appreciating how early humans transformed observation into knowledge, art, and ritual. The disc preserves this wisdom, holding the story of sun and moon in a simple yet profound circle of bronze and gold. Discovering the disc. For over 3,000 years, the Nebra Sky Disc lay concealed beneath layers of earth, its secrets silently preserved by soil and time. Then, in 1999, a routine day in Saxony-Anhalt changed the course of our understanding of Bronze Age astronomy. Farmers plowing their fields stumbled upon fragments of metal, glinting faintly under the sun, and soon archaeologists realized they had uncovered something extraordinary, a window into the heavens as understood by humans over 3 millennia ago. The disk was carefully excavated, revealing not only its full size and design, but also a story of preservation and survival. Soil and sediment had protected it from corrosion, keeping the delicate inlay of gold intact. Archaeologists could now see the sun, moon, and star clusters, arranged with deliberate precision. Each symbol, each arc, was a calculated representation of celestial patterns that had guided Bronze Age communities in agriculture, ritual, and timekeeping. Its discovery sent ripples through the academic world. Scholars recognized immediately that this was no ordinary artifact. It was the earliest known concrete star map in Europe, a sophisticated synthesis of observation, mathematics, and artistry. The Nebra Sky Disc became both a technical marvel and a cultural treasure, revealing a depth of knowledge previously unimagined for the era. Researchers soon began studying the disc in detail. X-rays, metallurgical analysis, and careful measurement allowed them to understand its construction, the placement of inlays, and the calculations encoded in its design. The golden Pleiades cluster, the arcs marking solstices, and the celestial symbols all told a story of careful observation and long-term study. The disc was not merely decorative, it was functional, a tool for understanding the heavens and their cycles. The context of its burial added another layer of fascination. The disc was found alongside swords, axes, and other Bronze Age artifacts, suggesting it may have been part of a ritual deposit, deliberately hidden to safeguard its knowledge or honor celestial powers. It had survived wars, migrations, and centuries of human activity, lying silently in the earth until the right moment revealed it once more. Through its discovery, the Nebra Sky Disc bridged millennia. Modern observers could finally trace the knowledge of Bronze Age astronomers, understanding not only their technical skill but their relationship with the cosmos. In the gleam of its gold and the shape of its arcs, the sky of 3,000 years ago came alive, connecting past observers to the present in a shared experience of wonder, observation, and reverence. Even today, as visitors gaze upon it in museums, the disc inspires awe. It is a testament to the persistence of knowledge, the human desire to measure and understand the heavens, and the delicate interplay between practicality, ceremony, and artistry. What was once hidden beneath soil and silence now guides us to imagine a world where early humans traced the rhythms of sun, moon, and stars, leaving a legacy that continues to shine. Reading Forgotten Stars. Once the Nebra Sky Disc emerged from the Earth, it was not immediately understood. To the untrained eye, it was a beautiful object, shimmering with gold and bronze, but its full significance remained hidden, waiting for careful study and interpretation. Scholars approached it with patience and precision, seeking to decode the knowledge embedded in its surface, knowledge that had been silent for over 3 millennia. The disc's design spoke of lunar cycles, solstices, and constellations, yet reading these patterns required more than observation. Researchers used a combination of archaeology, astronomy, and comparative studies to uncover its function. Every golden symbol and engraved line became a clue, a piece of a puzzle that had survived the passage of centuries. The Pleiades cluster, the arcs indicating the horizon and solstices, and the position of the moon were carefully measured, compared to celestial patterns, and matched to calculations that revealed the disc's precision. It became clear that the creators of the disc had achieved something extraordinary. They had not merely recorded the sky, they had translated its movement into a functional, portable tool. The disc allowed early humans to anticipate lunar phases, determine the timing of solstices, and organize communal activities according to the rhythm of the heavens. Its accuracy suggested careful observation across generations, a sophisticated understanding of cycles that would have guided both practical life and ceremonial practices. Scholars also examined the disc's context, the artifacts buried alongside it, its metallurgical composition, and its placement in the landscape, to better understand its purpose. Was it used for ritual, as a calendar, or as a teaching tool? Evidence suggested it may have served multiple functions, blending utility with spiritual significance. In this, the disc reflects the worldview of Bronze Age societies, in which observation, belief, and survival were intertwined. Modern technology further revealed its secrets. Spectroscopy, 3D modeling, and astronomical simulation allowed researchers to reconstruct the sky as it would have appeared to the disk's creators. By doing so, they confirmed the alignment of solstices and lunar cycles, showing that the disk was not symbolic alone but grounded in precise celestial measurement. Each mark became a testament to careful observation, patient calculation, and an intimate understanding of the heavens. Through this work, the Nebra Sky Disc emerged not just as an artifact, but as a story of human curiosity and ingenuity. Its designers had observed, recorded, and transmitted knowledge in a form that could survive millennia. In decoding its meaning, modern scholars bridge the gap between past and present, connecting with a civilization that looked to the sky with wonder, measurement, and a profound sense of place within the cosmos. The disc now speaks across time, its patterns read and understood again. By studying these forgotten stars, we glimpse the intelligence, skill, and imagination of a people who measure the heavens without instruments beyond their eyes, minds, and simple tools, a lesson in observation, persistence, and the enduring human desire to know the cosmos. Astronomy before history. Long before written chronicles detailed the workings of the universe, the people who created the Nebra Sky Disc had already begun to measure the heavens with remarkable precision. Their observations of the sun, moon, and stars reveal a society capable of systematic study, careful calculation, and imagination. The disc is evidence that astronomical knowledge did not emerge suddenly in later civilizations, but was cultivated, observed, and preserved long before. These early astronomers lived in a world ruled by celestial rhythms. The rising of the Pleiades, the shifting phases of the moon, and the sun's journey across the horizon were all vital to daily life. Time, agriculture, and ritual depended upon them. Yet the sophistication embedded in the disc suggests these were not mere casual observations. The alignment of solstices and lunar arcs demonstrates an understanding of cycles that would not be surpassed in Europe for centuries. Their work shows a fusion of practicality and spirituality. Observing the heavens was not only a tool for survival, but also an act of reverence. Every marking on the disc reflects careful attention, a merging of mathematics and ritual. These early sky watchers translated the cosmos into a portable, enduring guide, preserving knowledge that would otherwise have been lost to the ages. The Nebra Sky Disc also challenges modern assumptions about prehistoric societies. It reveals that Bronze Age Europeans were capable of abstract thinking, complex observation, and technological skill. They created instruments that bridged observation and calculation, art and function, and that communicated knowledge across generations. In doing so, they shaped an understanding of the universe that was both practical and philosophical, grounding human experience in the predictable motion of celestial bodies. By studying the disc, we glimpse the minds of these ancient observers. They tracked cycles that governed planting and harvest, timed ceremonies, and understood that patterns in the sky reflected patterns on Earth. Their work shows that human curiosity and ingenuity are timeless. They were not primitive by any measure. They were precise, perceptive, and visionary, translating the heavens into a tool that carried both meaning and utility. The sophistication of Bronze Age astronomy is preserved in gold and bronze, a reminder that knowledge can exist long before it is widely recognized. The Nebra Sky Disc allows us to peer into a world where observation was meticulous, where the cosmos inspired both understanding and wonder, and where humanity first began to map the universe. It stands as a testament to the intelligence, creativity, and curiosity of those who looked upward, turning the patterns of stars into a tangible record of knowledge. Through this artifact, we honor the vision of observers who lived in harmony with the sky, whose calculations and observations endured millennia. It teaches that astronomy, like human curiosity, has deep roots, and that the desire to understand the heavens is older than history itself. The Celestial Legacy. The Nebra Sky Disc now rests behind glass in a museum, illuminated so that its golden symbols shimmer like captured sunlight, yet its story reaches far beyond display cases and academic papers. This small circle of bronze and gold carries the wisdom of a people who lived over 3,000 years ago, yet it speaks to us still, reminding modern observers that the desire to understand the heavens is timeless. Its legacy is manifold. As the earliest known concrete star map in Europe, the disc challenges assumptions about Bronze Age societies. It reveals intelligence, observation, and artistry combined to create an artifact that is both practical and ceremonial. Solar and lunar cycles, solstices, and star clusters are preserved with such precision that modern scholars can trace the rhythm of the sky as it would have appeared to its original creators. Beyond technical achievement, the disc connects us to human imagination and curiosity. It demonstrates that even in the absence of telescopes, mechanical devices, or written astronomy, early humans could measure, record, and interpret celestial phenomena. It reminds us that knowledge is often cumulative, that insights may appear long before the tools exist to fully realize them, and that ingenuity can transcend centuries. The Nebra Sky Disc also bridges the past and present culturally. It illustrates how communities observed, revered, and codified the cosmos. It was both a tool and a symbol, a calendar for practical life, a guide for ritual, and a testament to the human urge to chart the unknown. Its creators understood that time and the sky are intertwined, and in this understanding, they left a message across millennia, that observation, calculation, and wonder can endure even when the world forgets. For modern humanity, the disc inspires reflection. It encourages us to see the sky not merely as a backdrop, but as a source of understanding, rhythm, and connection. By studying its arcs and stars, we participate in a dialogue with our distant ancestors, tracing their careful measurements and shared curiosity. Each glint of gold reminds us that the cosmos has long invited observation, imagination, and comprehension. The celestial legacy of the Nebra Sky Disc extends beyond archaeology or astronomy. It is a testament to human endeavor. It preserves the vision of people who measured the heavens, translated their observations into enduring symbols, and left a record of knowledge for those who would follow. In doing so, it ensures that the wisdom of the sky watchers, the cycle of sun and moon, and the mysteries of stars continue to illuminate the imagination of every generation. Even now, when eyes rest on its golden arcs and carefully plotted stars, the Nebra Sky Disc continues its silent orbit through time. It reminds us that the cosmos belongs not only to the past or present, but to the continuum of human curiosity. Knowledge, once recorded, can survive the centuries, connecting earthbound observers to the endless dance of the heavens.